So what do we have here? It's something pretty fun. Okay guys, so inside this huge box we have pretty interesting headphones called GoldPlanar GL2000, and with them a second set of earpads that is also slightly changing the sound signature, which is nice. It's like backup plus physical tonality tuning, I like that. And also a really decent detachable cable with balanced Pentacon 4.4 connection on the end. So just before I continue with this review, I have to tell you that these are highly polarizing and controversial headphones. And I read and heard a lot of different experiences, ranging from "these are the best headphones I've ever heard, and I'm selling my 1,000+ headphones that I've previously used, even though they're in higher class, at least price-wise, than these," to "these are rubbish, and like even $200 hi-fi men's and Sennheisers are better than them." So what the heck is going on? Why all these people have these wildly different impressions? And I believe I can tell you why. I think I know why. Because these are awesome most of the time. They do so many things greatly. But sometimes they're just quirky. They remind me of my girlfriend. She's awesome most of the time. But sometimes I just don't get her, man. And I'll immediately tell you that I'll probably fall into this category of people that really like these headphones. Because, as I said, they do most of the things right. And I wouldn't easily change them or look for alternative just because of these few things that are not perfect. Just as with my girlfriend. Because it's really difficult to find anything better for this price. Okay, this is where like headphones girlfriend comparison goes really south. So that said, highly polarizing but really truly high quality headphones. And I'll try to explain why so many people love them but some other people hate them, and why I generally fall into that category that love them. In the box you get this cable that's of a pretty decent quality. It's a braided cable. I have nothing to say about it really. I don't find it particularly amazing, but it's not bad by any means. As I mentioned, it has balanced connector on one side, 3.5 millimeters. It works perfectly fine. And another thing that's probably important to mention is that you get two sets of earpads and you can change between those. They're slightly different. You can see the shape here is slightly different. These default one that are pre-mounted on the headphones are fully circular. These have slightly different shape. Also, these that I'm keeping on the headphones at the moment have full leather around them, and these have these small holes. I know the word for that one, but I'm having trouble pronouncing it. It's perforated, so small holes in the leather. And because of that, believe it or not, when you change these, you have a slightly different tonality. With these full leathery being a little bit more bassy, a little bit darker, fuller, juicier sounding, and these perforated, is that the word? These are slightly brighter, maybe a little bit more neutral. It's up to you. Try both are free. They come with headphones, you don't have to choose one or the other while purchasing. Other than that, there's not much to talk about technicalities here, really. These are planar headphones, but they're not extremely low when it comes to the impedance, which is 60 ohms, and that means that no source will have trouble driving these. And the sensitivity, that's really nice. It's 99 dB. For big cans like these, that's pretty nice, is also decent. I even used these small dongles such as hifi's S9 Pro or Cyan, I don't know how this is pronounced, RU6, by the way, interesting little device, R2R portable DAC, review coming soon, and both of these DACs can power these headphones quite nicely. Last thing that I didn't mention is comfort. And in my opinion, comfort is really great. Because these earpads are really huge, they're really comfy, soft, cozy. I have huge ears, and even I feel that I have room to wiggle here. You can even have bigger ears than mine and still have enough room without earpads pressing on any part of your ears. That said, they're not lightweight. These wouldn't be my first choice to carry around on the train, in the bus, things like that. But if you want to do so, I guess that's okay. I don't feel that pressure that they're putting on my ears is big. It's actually one of the lighter ones, in my opinion. And yeah, I pretty like the whole comfort thing. It's just that they're a little bit weightier, and because they're open back, of course, any sound from the outside is leaking to you, and anything that you're listening on these is leaking to the outside listeners. Now, all of this boring stuff out of the way, how do these sound? And why so many people hate them while so many people also love them? Well, I believe that mostly boils down to their tonality. Now, let me get this out of the way first. These are not perfectly neutral. These are not your perfectly flat headphones with flat frequency response. But let's be fair, almost no headphone is perfectly flat. Everything has a little bit of emphasis there and a little bit of emphasis here, and then a little bit depletion there and depletion here, because no headphone is completely perfect. It's just mixing and matching and sacrificing one thing for the other thing. But when it comes to GL2000, I find that they do most of the things great. Among those things is really nice, deep, kicky, well-controlled, grippy bassline. Bassline is not the most emphasized and most powerful one, but I never found it to lack energy and to lack kick. And when it comes to the sheer texture and information and grip that you hear from bass notes, I actually think that this is probably my favorite headphone that I've heard up to $1,000. And that includes some that I really loved, like VRM1 and Hifi and Sundara and Odyssey LCD2 Classic, because this bass line to my ears sounds grippiest and most textury and most natural that I've ever heard. Just play some acoustic instrument. I'm not talking about electronic bass, that we have no reference how loud it was, should it be emphasized, should it be warm or thumpy or anything like that. Play several acoustic recordings of things such as bass guitar and double bass, and listen to these stringy bass notes, these textury bass notes. Now, I've listened to a lot of unamplified instruments in my life because I grew up with musicians and listened a lot of their rehearsals and things like that. And these do the bass line in the most natural way that I've heard up to $1,000. Then, if we are talking about the mid-range, it's again really rich. There's a lot of tone timbre there, a lot of tone richness. Details and textures are presented in a great way. But now we are coming to that quirk that I mentioned, that only thing that I didn't like that much, and that is that GL2000 don't do glossiness of the tone that well. And when I say glossiness, I think about tones that have that glassy sound or metallic sound. Anything that has that long, echoey, liquidy, high-pitched sound. You can imagine whatever you want, like hitting a metal dish with a spoon, or hitting glass on glass, and then listening to that long, glassy, ting, vibrating, liquidy sound. Because these are making everything sounded a little bit more textury and a little bit more fabricy than it really is. And that's something that is actually really nice and pleasant with vocals, with bass instruments, with wooden instruments, but it doesn't feel all that realistic and lifelike with these glossy sounding tones. Metallic tones, glassy tones. But if you can get past that, or maybe if you don't mind that character, they do almost everything else with a great skill. And I really do mean, now it's not about tonality only. They have that weight. Tones feel palpable. And the space around me feels slightly more 3D and deeper than on any headphones near this price point that I've ever tried. And because of that, if you listen to a naturally recorded song in a studio with a real space around musicians, you'll hear plenty of details, atmosphere, transients, great bassline control, great texture, great mid-range control. So let's say that you play something like My Narrow Man. This is a song that I've listened quite a bit lately, and I shared it probably in a few videos already. But it's a great example of a song, type of a song, that sounds beautiful with these headphones. Because what do we have there? We have double bass, and it sounds gloriously beautiful and natural through these. Vocal, again, sounds really, really nice and smooth and full, but detailed. And these are well separated, and there's just the sensation of really nice space around you, really nice three-dimensionality of space. And in that song, or for example this song, Maddie, same sensation. You feel that that sounds so nice and so neutral and natural that I simply don't know any headphones that I owned or I tried that can match these at this price point to make these vocals and these type of acoustic instruments sound as lifelike as GL2000. I switched to VRM1 and I love these. They can do glossiness, glassiness and metallic-y sounds no problem. But they do have warmer bass line, they sound a little bit more congested and slightly more bloated, and the space does not feel as 3D around me. Bass notes are not as clean and grippy and textury, and vocals are great and full, but not that rich with texture. And these are awesome headphones. They just don't perform as well with these music genres. Don't let me even start about Sandy Audio iiWi here, because these have completely different tonality, quite recessed mid-range and bloated bass, and they're even more inferior to GL2000 when you're listening like natural double bass, female vocal. That just sounds so beautiful through these. But if you move to something that should have a little bit more zing, let's say some sort of EDM with a lot of, I don't know, high-pitched tones, or something that's more closer to my own taste, let's say like some sort of Western type of guitar with metallic strings and with deliberately pronounced zing every time you pluck the string, that will sound more forward, cleaner, and as I said, glossier, as it should sound with VRM1 and with most hi-fi mens than it will with these. These will make it sound a little bit more, as I said, fabricy. And this actually leads me to tastes and to sacrifices and to reviewers that I did not like how they explained these headphones. And that really leads me to my disbelief that I saw some reviewers saying these can only compare to the likes of $200 hi-fi mens, such as HE4XX, 5XX, and things like that, because except that you might say that these have flatter frequency response and more neutral tonality, there is nothing else that you can say these do not better, they cannot even closely match dynamics and overall liveliness of GL2000. Spaciousness, no way. These sound flat and almost dead when directly compared to these. Just fullness of tones, that feeling of palpability of tones, of vocal, of double bass, layering and space behind these instruments and vocals is just, again, not comparable. These 200 hi-fi mens just sound more flat, more lifeless, and they have much less rich timbre, tone timbre. Okay, what I personally think about GL2000s, as I said in the beginning, they're highly polarizing. I believe some people, like some reviewers, will focus heavily on that tonality and that fabricy sound of these headphones that is not perfectly neutral. It's meant more to be cozy and lush, but not perfectly neutral. And because of that, they will just bash them immediately without giving them a chance and properly comparing all the other parts of the sound where these do actually excel. They do have some class-leading qualities. And I personally, from the moment I got them, like maybe 2 weeks ago, I've kept using them and I've kept enjoying them so much. And here's the tricky part of reviewing things. I cannot possibly know, will you like something like this sort of tonality or not? It's just something that you'll have to realize for yourself by watching this review and other reviews and realize which of these reviewers, including me, you appreciate, and in the past, when you tried something, how much did you agree about the importance of these qualities? Did you put having flat frequency response first? Did you put tonal richness first? Did you put having strong sub-bass first? Or having grippy, well-controlled and textury bass first? Do you in general agree more with my views and my appreciation of what good sound is supposed to be? Or do you agree with some other reviewer that's thinking that hi-fi mens of $200 are better headphones because they're more flat? Even though they're also more dynamically flat and spatially flat, to my ears and to my mind, even with their shortcoming, these are still one of the better headphones that I've tried at this price point. I suppose that would be my final conclusion too. The rest is up to you, and you have to decide what kind of compromises you're ready to make, what you can sacrifice, and what you simply cannot. It boils down to that, really. And that would be all, guys. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye. you.